Hello everyone, welcome. It's been a couple weeks, been busy, if you will. Working on lots of stuff from the office here, studio, including like the 800 gallon. We'll start there because that's where people usually start. If you haven't tuned in a little while, you're gonna say, hey, where'd the goldfish go? They're in the fish room. Hopefully you've watched that video by now. But we've been doing some testing in the 800 gallon. And if you remember, you've already seen some of this, but I planted it up a little bit, been testing some plants that we want to add to the website long term. And then we're going to put a background in here, I think. Well, I say I think. I've ordered it, but who knows when it's coming and if it'll fit and if I can make it work. But that's right there. You see that? That's the background. And for scale purposes, that background that's right there, that is what fits a 75-gallon aquarium. So you can kind of see how large that 800-gallon actually is. So we have this massive piece on the way, and we're going to see if I can't get inside there and silicone that bad boy to the back of it and make it look good. But that means all the fish got to come out, all the plants got to come out. We got to drain that thing, several days of curing. And so there's quite a bit of project to go there, but now is the perfect time. I'm staying at home anyway. So as long as things arrive, I'll be able to do that. But since we've been, self-isolating and whatnot, I didn't have enough silicone, so we've ordered it from like Home Depot, but it's scheduled like 2 more weeks away or something like that. So, we'll play with that kind of stuff when it gets here and hope for the best. But a new thing that you guys probably don't know about, unless you watched my YouTube story today. There's actually babies in the 800 gallon of goldfish. So as I was telling you guys, when the goldfish would chase each other and be acting weird and they were breeding all the time, they actually were breeding all the time. And once we took all the goldfish out, that's when the eggs stopped getting eaten. And so they've hatched out, and now we actually have fry that are maybe quarter or a half an inch, maybe a little bit less, but definitely swimming around. And so for now, we're just kind of letting them get some size before I got to try and net those things out of the 800 gallon to work on it. So no super chats today. Just want to have a low-key live stream. Just kind of want to hang out with you guys, because I think if you guys are sitting at home, working from home, doing anything like that, maybe you got this on the background, and yeah, keeping it low-key today. So we do have new memberships though. Derek Runyon, thanks for becoming a snail buddy. Had a couple others join up earlier. I didn't get a chance to call you out, but thank you. And do know that with this downtime, I am working on some other things. So I've got a couple of projects in the works for kind of the website and some membership only stuff I'm going to try and tie in. Obviously none of this is 100% yet, because if it was, I'd be telling you like, check it out, you get to do this now. But we are working on that, and I'm getting real close to, I think, unlocking something you guys are really going to want. But I don't want to tip my hat and then go, ooh, there was a thing that prevented us from doing it. No. But I did have a meeting with YouTube this morning, and I confirmed that the way I want kind of YouTube memberships and everything to work with this thing I want to do, the integration is there. So we've got the next okay step of like push forward with this project. And I'm hoping that I could launch this as soon as maybe even next week or something like that. I'm not 100% sure yet. When it's ready type of deal. Man, this thing back there is going off. So we've got the green one blinks every time we get a new member. So Bill's Freshwater Fish, Gino Catazuzo? Oof, I don't know. David Foster and Mr. F. Peed. Welcome. Corey's my spirit animal. I think that's the first time that's ever been uttered on this earth. Yeah. Elwin, Amaya, wow, we're stacking them on. I like it. Kim Wolf, welcome. And yeah, right now I would say is kind of a little bit of a better time to be a member than other times, only because I'm confined to my house, and so I'm going, I'm a little bit bored. All right, let's make something for the members. So I am putting a little bit extra out, but when we get out of this whole thing, I'm going to be crazy busy. And so you're going to be like, you went from posting like at least once a week to now you post once a month. What's the deal? Like, oh, well, I had to play catch up. So yeah. I forgot that thing, or this thing is going to stay orange until the next super chat, or I change it. I wonder if I can change that on the fly, because I like kind of the blue and the green. I don't know. Oh, I can't do that on the fly. I'm not that good. I want to address one question. This question goes back 4 weeks ago. What's today? Roughly 4 weeks ago, when I was on the KD Tropicals live stream when I was out in Virginia, and someone had asked me about a specific book, and I couldn't remember the name because it was over there in my office. And so he asked me again today, which if you're not hanging out before we go live, there was about 200 people hanging out. We were chatting. I was answering as many questions as I could. You guys were chatting amongst each other. That was great. And so you get that opportunity. I highly recommend hanging out with us. We always do it the first hour before we go live to just have that smaller community and I don't know, hang out. But this is the book that I like. Now, I'm sure there's 100 different disease books. This is just the one that I like, and I was able to pick it up on the cheap for like under $10 at like a half-price books. And this is the Handbook of Fish Diseases. It probably exists on Amazon or something too. I don't know. I wouldn't pay like $1 billion for it. But what I do like about it, not this. Well, it's not. I just realized it has a seal of approval from the ASPCA. I never knew that. I mean, I like that. It's fine, but I didn't. That's not the reason I bought it or anything. Is it really has like glare there is terrible, but it has flow charts. So if you, how do I explain this? There are so many diseases that even I don't know. There's a difference between I heard of that thing once, and there's another one being able to spot it from across the room going, oh, that's this other crazy parasite I never heard of. So when you get into that realm of like, what is this? It's a little weird. You can start with the index and going, okay, well, is it like fungal, parasitic, bacterial? Where do we think we should start here? And you can kind of keep going through flow charts going, okay, we're on to cysts. So if it had cysts, you'd be going through here. The cysts come from a lesion or a thickened area of tissue. Yes, go over here. The cysts are encapsulated in light colored tissue. No structures are visible inside. They range in color from light to dark brown. If no, go down here. If yes, go to chart 21. And so you can like flow chart your way all the way through, and then you start getting, I guess it's fairly graphic, but it'll show how the parasites, or right here we're looking at a squash mount of posterior kidney. And I just think it's not that everyone needs to be this level of disease nerd, but for like a $10 half-price book purchase, when something does go wrong, you'll want that, available to you. So that's the book I can recommend, or at least I have sitting on my shelf and will refer to every once in a while. Now, I know that there's other good books out there, but I don't know if they have that flow chart the flow chart really helps me of like, all right, does it seem like it's doing this? No, okay, go this way. And then you might take you a couple times to get through it, but usually you go, okay, so it's either this crazy thing or this crazy thing I never heard of. And then you try one, and if that doesn't work, you try the other. All right. Wow. Joseph Shively, Steve Acosto, Jenny the Fish Herd. Nice. I like that. Bite Aquatics, Oliver Lang, Meat Popsicles, and Matta's Abaliska? Abalista. Well, thank you. Thank you for becoming members. What plants are good for a 3-gallon? Lots of 4-gram plants like maybe Star Gynae repens, Dwarf Baby Tears, Crypt Parva. Kind of the background plants I would use would be something like Crypt Wendetii, Crypt Lutea. I'm trying to think of more mid-ground. Like on a bigger tank, you use mid-ground stuff, but in a 3-gallon, that'd be like the background. So if you were using our website, you would. Maybe I can improve our website somehow if I make a size chart, like when you're buying clothes or whatever, there's like that size chart you can click on. I wonder if I could do that for our plants, in that if your tank is this tall, that means medium plants are actually your background plants. If your tank is this tall, like even tall plants aren't tall enough. So I wonder if I could build that in, because it's really nice to be able to just like, check out the website, it's all there. And we keep funneling resources into that website as much as we can to keep providing info. So it's a good place to be anyway. Do I also stream on Twitch? I don't. We have a Twitch account there. We saved the name, but we don't. So, yeah. What do I want to say? It's hard to stay motivated. Not motivated. That's not the right word. What is the right word here? Enthusiastic, wanting to do it. The more you live stream, the more you're like, I gotta go do it again. But doing it sporadically, you crave it. So it's like, I really want to, like right today, I just want to hang out with people, talk fish, answer questions. That sounded really fun. And I think it's because I'm, cooped up, right? So I can't do that. So I really want to do that. And yeah, so I think adding too many live streaming, I've done that in the past, and it didn't make things better. It diluted stuff. So, I got a great story, but if you live stream 4 times a week, you didn't hear that story on Monday? Well, it's Thursday now, right? So I get to save up all my, my good stories are like a C grade at best. So would I suggest an iPhone or a camera for a cheap aquarium YouTube filming option? Definitely iPhone. Well, no, it doesn't have to be iPhone, but a cell phone. Definitely. In fact, being that I've had some time at home, I've been spending some time actually designing a new system to film on. And that's this camcorder right here. This is not a cheap camcorder. This is a dedicated nerd system right here. This allows me to have at least 2 channels of audio. Now, what does that mean? That means that Dean and Corey will both have their own channel, and you're going, okay, that sounds all right. It sounds like nerd speak. The good news is we also have the wireless mic to go with it, with the transmitter to go with it as well. So I just plug these bad boys in. Just like this. Boom. I can put 2 of those in there. Wirelessly, both people that are mic'd up will be dialed in sound, and I have adjustments for everyone's voices and things like that. So I can improve that, and I just have to build some muscle, because this is going to get really heavy with all the extra things that I'm going to have to hold while filming for like an hour at a time. But this is going to step up our game quite a bit, I think. And I love filming with my phone because it's so easy and it's always there with me, but there are times when I want to use something like that, like filming these little goldfish. It's really hard with the phone, but it'll be really easy with something like that. So, investing in just making sure we stay with the times and try to always improve. And, so part of it is I can't say no one. I've never seen anyone do this setup with these mics and trying to pull it off in an analog format, because this thing, like this little gadget, this little nerd thing is $600, and it's meant for cameras that are way more expensive, like $5,000 cameras. And so I just want, but I did research and it said like it should work, and it does work. And so now I'm dialing in all the little things. So hopefully when we get out of this, Dean and I can make some videos, and I can go do some other stuff. And yeah, working on it. That's all I can say is working on it. But cell phone is great. Most of the videos that have come out in the last year have been on a cell phone. And in fact, in Peru, it's the only thing I filmed on, well, besides the GoPro, but being underwater and being able to do stuff. And even when our last fish room tour, I think that came out on Sunday, all the underwater shots were with my cell phone. So I watched the first video, and maybe that's a little insight for you guys. Like, we will put together typically a video, and then I'll watch it and I go, yeah, it's a little slow. So then I'll go film underwater shots, or Jimmy will find some shots, and we'll kind of spice it up a little bit to try and dilute some of the talking. If just Dean and I are talking back and forth, let's try to spice it up, because we can really see into that stuff, but maybe you guys can't. And so sometimes the underwater shots help. Sometimes they're a waste. We didn't get to use them all. So, all right, Dean is everywhere. I recently started my first tank, which is a 30-gallon. I planted an anubias, a few val, some moss. Everything is dying. the Val is already long dead. I have a Phoenix Planted Plus and Seachem Fluorite Red. Christopher, if that's all you have, that kind of explains it. So you've got a lot of light, and you've got a fluorite substrate. Now, fluorite itself, the red, will have higher iron content, but it's not everything you need. So, I guess I'm best known for using analogies here. So imagine that your light is like an oven, and you were wanting to like make a cake, and you've got tons of flour. Well, that's it. Like, no matter how good your oven is and how much flour you have, cake's not coming out of that thing. You need more ingredients. And that's what's going on in your aquarium too. You need more ingredients. So that's where things like possibly using root tabs could help. Now, the root tabs would help the Vallisneria, which is no longer there, so probably not investing in those. The moss wouldn't want that, and the Nubis wouldn't want that. But they want to get nutrients out of the water. Now, there's a few ways you can do that. You could do that with feeding lots of fish food, or maybe your water where you live naturally has a lot of nutrients, but if that was true, probably you wouldn't be losing them like you are right now. Or you can do like a liquid fertilizer, which I gave mine to my wife so she could use it on her plants. So you'll just have to trust me that something like an Easy Green, which is a liquid fertilizer, or Easy Iron, you would want the Easy Green version or some other liquid additive to feed the water column plants. Now, there could be some other things going on as well. You could have perhaps planted the Anubias wrong, like if the rhizome was under the fluorite, that would cause it to rot. With the moss, sometimes not sometimes, most of the time that's been grown out of water. So that means we grow it kind of in a humid environment, maybe in a greenhouse, and it looks great. But then when we put it underwater, it dies back because it's not used to being underwater. It can grow underwater, but it has to reform to do that. And so sometimes when someone's, well, I don't know. Let's see. You recently started your first planting? Yes, so you are new. Sometimes when someone's new, there's actually 3 or 4 problems going wrong, but we typically in our own minds will go, oh, I didn't have the one thing. But what might have happened is if you had root tabs, your valve would have done fine. You might have enough nutrients in the water column right now, but maybe the Nubius got planted too deep, maybe it didn't. And then maybe the moss is converting. So you might actually be set up pretty good, but you also might be going wrong in 2 or 3 different ways. So hopefully with that explanation, you go, ooh, I did that thing. No, I got that right. This thing's wrong too. Fix those things, you'll be good to go. And, learn from each of these. So you're 3 plants into it. You've lost one. The other ones aren't doing so well. If you can get those to turn the corner, maybe get some more Val again, give that a try, and you can learn. Now, one thing I would say is with a Planted Plus light, that's quite a bit of light. So let's say I was new to cooking, which I am because I'm terrible at it. But maybe you don't try searing steaks and stuff like that, like stuff where if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to burn it really quick. Kind of the same thing with a very high-powered light. The higher the light, the faster things can go wrong. So if we don't have the ingredients right, we don't have time to keep mixing and playing with it and getting that right, it's going to cook really fast. And that's what goes on in our aquarium too. And so you might, if you can dial the light, those plants that you have are fairly mid to low light, so you could dial that back a little bit, and that will allow any of the fertilizers you do have to go a little bit further. But there, we have tons of articles on it. In our blog section, we have things you can sign up for on the website. We have videos too. So all of that stuff. Now, there's probably 6 hours of content to learn about plants, and your head will explode. But if you were to maybe digest one of those every 2 or 3 days and apply a little bit of that knowledge, over a month or 2, you'd have a fairly solid grasp on plants and be able to move forward with that. All right. Someone said you can catch a Ranchu in Animal Crossing. Speaking of Animal Crossing, I don't remember the person's name, but someone made an Aquarium co-op hat for their Animal Crossing character, and at least my wife, myself, and the mods thought it was amazing. And so they, in the Aquarium group support, which is a Facebook group that we own, they posted, I guess, the code. I can't remember off the top of my head, but whatever you need to replicate that in the game. So if you want your character to have an Aquarium co-op hat, speaking of which, do I have a hat in here right now? I don't. pretty cool. I literally almost started up because I think it was a she. She had this fish room, and I was like, I kind of want to make a fish room, and I could have the aquarium co-op hat, and then I could like try and find other fish people, and then be like, it's actually me, haha. But we'll see. We'll see if I get to that level of free time. But I thought it was super cool, regardless. I'm having some issues with a 10-gallon tank. I set it up about a year ago. I used Fluval Stratum, which is great at first, and then it started to turn my water yellow. What do I need to do? Okay, well, Fluval Stratum has a lot of organics in it. That's what makes it really good for growing plants. Now, if those organics have tannins in them, that could be turning your water kind of that yellowy tea color. Wood will also do that. In general, the ways to combat that would be water changes or something like carbon or Purigen. Now, of those two, I would recommend Purigen. Purigen typically will work with fertilizers, meaning it won't suck them out, where carbon will typically pull fertilizer as well. Now, I don't know exactly the scenario you got going on, but that's how you would approach that. I can't think of another good way. I mean, there are other ways. I'm trying to think of a good way where it's like, just buy this thing, fix it. And you could change quite a bit of water, but it's going to come back over time. And if you haven't been changing a lot of water, it might be easy to go, oh, well, I'll just up that a little bit and take care of it. But if you're, doing it every Sunday or something, like, well, clearly you don't want to do more than that. Ooh, looks like Clay's having a birthday soon. Happy birthday, Clay. New Mexico Aquatics, Corey, I bought Buse on wood from Aquariumcoop. It died back to the rhizome. I use Easy Green and Fluval 3.0 at 40%. Any tips to get it to grow back? What would I do? Unfortunately, all you can do is give it time. Buses are grown immersed, and they can die back. Like what I do, I'm abnormal in the hobby because I'm such a long-term like setup type person. So typically when I planted Buse, like when I planted it for, if you remember quite a while ago, we did the kind of Blackwater strawberry bettas or Alba Marginata bettas, right? Well, we planted a bunch of Buse there, knowing it was just like little pieces. We're going to jam it in there and it'll look great in a year. And so that's kind of my outlook, is like, well, I would expect it to die back, but it should come back in a timely manner. But it's a very slow grower. And that's why one of the reasons why Buses are kind of expensive, and they're never like, you'll see someone be like, wow, look at that giant Anubias, brought it into the fish store. You like never see that happen with Buse because it just doesn't grow very fast, and it's a little temperamental. And but the only thing I can really tell you is time. Give it time and just let it sit there. And I can also think of when I was first getting into being able to afford some of the Buse Philandras. I was breeding dwarf Claro plecos. This is back in the fish room days. It's on the channel. And we glued some to the top of a pot that the dwarf Claro bristlenose were breeding. Well, like a year later, the Buse was looking really, really good. And we made a bunch of babies and stuff like that. But you can kind of see that timeline unfold of, it's a very long-term plant. Just like crinums. Crinums are a very long-term plant as well. Like what you buy from us is like, oh, cool. But something like this takes years and years and years to grow. In fact, I started another one over here. This is actually one of the babies from this one. So, some of those plants, I think we just got to learn to take a very long-term approach to it. Whereas like a stem plant, like Scarlet Temple, like, well, it's going to grow like a weed, And if we get used to that, it's hard to appreciate. But that's where when you see, if you ever go to someone's house and you're like, wow, you have this log that's got Anubias Santa Petite, that must have taken like 6 years to carp it out. You get that appreciation of like, wow, that took some time. I like that. Oh, I'm missing members. I'm so sorry. Welcome, Beta Time Stories. I know there was some more too. Where's that? Mason Brando. And see you much more. And Kyle Duggan. I got to address. I got to make sure I get it right too. Let me make sure I also get it right. Is it MD fish tanks? What is it? Scanning. Wow, haven't seen you in a long time. DeFreeze Aquariums. Nice to see you, buddy. That's his name. I mean, you might have been here the whole time. I just haven't seen that name in a long time. So, yeah, MD fish tanks. Yeah, I passively consume this guy's content, and I pretty much watch the meme war between Aqua Pros and MD's fish tanks of like ugly fish back and forth tagging each other. I think once I finally get to meet MD fish tanks in person, we'll get along quite a bit because his sense of humor is similar. Well, it seems similar to Aqua Pros. Aqua Pros and I get along really well, and I just haven't done any reaching out or anything. And I'm always worried, by the way, that when someone, because I know he's been leaving some comments on my videos and stuff like that, I'm always worried that by not reaching back out, people assume I am being standoffish. Usually, I'm just like in the middle of like answering someone else's comment, and then it's like, oh gosh, I gotta go do something. And so it's kind of I run around like a chicken with my head cut off because I'm just ultra busy. Like even right now, I'm multitasking because pictures are being sent. Oh, here we go. My wife sent the Animal Crossing thing. It was Kelsey Stowe. Let me make sure I don't like expose the world here. Let me see if I can on my phone. But you can see her fish room, and then that's how you do the hat, and that's in the aquarium group support. So super cool. I dig it. I kind of want to make a virtual fish room pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Does Anubias also grow really well with phosphates the same way Java Fern? Yes, so we actually have increased levels of phosphates in our Easy Green because it helps, and potassium, by the way. Helps all rhizome plants. So rhizome plants would be Buse, Anubias, Bulbitis, and Java Ferns. Is there any other one? There's like a couple other super rare ones. I can't think of the name though. Slow chat's broken? Oh. That's probably true. Let me see if there's any way to fix that without just exploding this thing into oblivion. I'm gonna try the edit button. Bear with me. Wait for it. That's not gonna do it. I think if you guys were here yesterday, I tried to make my own live stream with the new dashboard and accidentally set another live stream to go live at like 10 a.m. And that wasn't good because there was people waiting, and then I had to apologize to them. But that one I know I did find the button to slow it down. What is this thing? I just found a new thing. Let me try this. Did you know? Click on it. Yes. All right, I'm clicking a button here. I didn't know this existed. You guys are learning with me. In theory, there's pinned merchandise going to the chat. Is that true? Wow. So yeah, you can get the cooperative. This is, by the way, it's a super exclusive shirt that most of you probably don't know exist. And it is super cool when I see him in person though. Rarely do I get to see him in person, but that's how I know the super, like, been around a while, because I almost never mention that t-shirt ever. And yeah, that's a cool feature. I like that. All right, but back to live stream settings. Don't explode. Don't explode. No, it is enabled right now. It says enabled slow mode, 60 seconds in between. So there's just 1,400 people chatting. It could be that. I don't know. All right, here we go. Any updated fish room tour videos coming out soon? Yeah. We have one for Dean coming out. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can give you guys what we have edited so far. We've got more videos that aren't done being edited, but let me see if I can pull up. And these will be crude names because we don't always. So we have one coming out about some Corridoras. We have another video dedicated to Dean's discus tank, which blows my mind. If you're not following Dean on Instagram, at Dean's Fish Room, You need to, because you get a glimpse of that tank, and he's spawning the discus, he's spawning Shodanai puffer. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on right now because he's cooped up in his house breeding fish. So I got a whole dedicated video on that coming out because I'm really enjoying that tank. I mean, I'm getting inspiration from that tank for sure. I have no problem stealing from Dean like that because he really made something special there. Got a new member from HGGK. Welcome. What else we got? We have a Dean's Fish Room Tour. I already mentioned that one. We have, now some of these, so what we do, give you a little bit of insight. We go and we film a bunch of videos typically. Like Dean and I, or just myself. And you film. You edit them. And then you take a look at them and you go, is this good enough for everyone? And if it's not good enough, that's where we're going to release it to members. Where it's like, oh, yeah, ooh, yeah, okay, audio was bad there. Okay, we'll cut that part. We'll do this. Like, this isn't like, and instead of just like never using it, we go, well, let's make it into a member video. Because if we release that and people watch it, and then the YouTube algorithm gods go, not enough people watched it, punish them. That hurts us. So rather than no one ever see it, we go, well, we'll put it over there. And so we have one that is Dean picks his favorite schooling fish. We've got a members only video of 5 things Dean loves about Aquarium Co-op. So Dean comes up with his own videos half the time, by the way. So I don't, like, I usually am trying to tell him not, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's going to seem like self-promotion. But he's like, no, I got a good idea. And I go, all right, you help me with a bunch of things. Let's film it, Dean. And so there's that one. I think that might all be all that we have ready to go. I mean, a couple of them got to be proofed, and there's some more videos to be done there. But yeah, so don't worry. We've got some more content coming, both for members and non-members. But we are going to, yeah. Oh, people are talking to me. Yeah. Yep. I'll announce that right now. I should talk about that, actually. So, I've got customer service people chatting. Candy and Randy, the director of operations, and myself. Basically, we have supply interruption. What does that mean? That means that we can't get what we need a lot of the time. So right now, we have a delay, usually from planes. Stuff can't move around the country or the world very quickly at the moment. And so, like, I think we sold out of ICX technically. I think we have some at the store, but we don't have any at the warehouse. And then we apparently have a bug with our bundles that it was allowing some to sell. ICX will arrive tomorrow, but temporarily we're removing ICX, or removing the bundle, the Quarantine Trio, from the website. So if you go to order the Quarantine Trio tonight and it's not there anymore, it'll be back real soon. We just have no other way to stop the bug currently. It's a very long-tailed bug, but it's there. And we have the fix. We have a new way to do it, but it's not 100% stress tested, and so we're waiting to deploy it. But yeah, so if you see that missing, wait a couple, it should be back by tomorrow afternoon, honestly. But let's say there was some snafu, like another day after that. But yeah, so like there's plenty of fish farms and plant farms and things like that there's no flights. Like we went to get some plants out of Thailand, and they go, yeah, there's no flights can come in. Oh, okay. Or when there was like, okay, there's one, it was already full of other things, and so we couldn't get on. So like obviously there's not passenger flights going, but there some goods still move around the world. And so it's been, we definitely been running to the airport. We're kind of on call like all the time. Do we go to the airport today? Okay, no. Okay, tomorrow? No. Okay. And it's not me, but we do what we got to do. All right. Can we get this up to 1,000 likes? I don't know. Where are we at right now? Does it say that? 463 likes with 1,400 people. I think we could pull that off. We got Austin Denny as a new member, and Shooter McGavin. Yeah, Happy Gilmore reference. By the way, I learned today in a YouTube meeting that our #1 traffic source is actually people watching Aquarium Co-op videos on TVs. So I got news for you. If you're watching us on your TV right now, you're now on my radar. So I've been watching it grow for a long time. 2 years ago, TV users were very small. and you've been growing, and now you're actually our #1 source. So what does that mean? That means we're going to do a little bit more optimization to help you out if you're watching on TV. And so, you know, a lot of times, like right now, if you're watching this, you probably don't have access to chat if you're watching on TV. You couldn't see the comment section. You wouldn't be able to see the description. So we need to put more things on screen for you so that if you're changing water and I say, check out this cool thing, you can buy it at description in the, you know, or link in the description, you couldn't see that. But if it's on screen, you go, oh, I can buy it there. And so we're gonna work on that a little bit, transition that a little bit more for you guys. And because I think that's the way of the future. I think more and more people are just getting smart TVs, and it makes sense just to let it play in the background. And yeah. Can a Jaguar cichlid go with an Oscar? Yes, in a large aquarium, but Jags typically are hyper aggressive, especially the females. So that just is a heads up there. They get beautiful color though. The females look better than the males. All right. Oh, watching on a TV and chatting on a cell phone. That makes a lot of sense. I can see that. Yeah. My wife wanted me to remind everyone, we are still shipping from our warehouse and the store. We only have curbside pickup. We have limited staff, and we don't do anything like we're not posting stock lists or anything. It's purely like you need a medicine, your heater broke, you need fish food because you're running out. Something that like actually is important, not just like. So unfortunately, we've had some people like show up at the store and they came to visit, and they wanted to like look at the store, and no one's allowed inside. So you know, so it's not that we don't want to let you, it's that we have to abide by the rules, and we want to, you know, just be as safe as we can, but still not have pets starving. And the problem is when you have a store that's sold tons and tons and tons of pufferfish, you do need frozen foods. You do need live snails and some of these things. And so these animals actually do rely on us to stay open. And so we, you know, we're minimally staffing and doing precautions and all of that. And we appreciate you guys that are supporting us. That does help quite a bit. It's, you know, tough time for a lot of people out there. And so we appreciate it. All right. Buddha Aquariums became a porcupine puffer. What are the tiny worms in my water column? They're probably just a little glass worm. If you have guppies and stuff, typically they'll eat it. Yeah. What external canister filter would you recommend on a 55-gallon tank? I want it to be as quiet as possible because of working at nights. All right. The most quiet one possible. So my advice to you would be go with a very small canister. So maybe like a Fluval 104, possibly an Eheim canister, like is it 2117? Classic 2117? I can't remember. Get one of those, but then get like mouse mat material and double or triple that up underneath it, because it's the vibration in a stand a lot of time that creates that hum, if you will. So the more you can isolate that, the less you're going to have. And then making sure it's well below the water line is going to help you quiet it down. But for the most part, don't oversize the pump, and get one to run really efficient. And by doing that, I think you'll get that quietness you're looking for. All right. Any tips on how to tackle pre-existing pond that you inherited from a previous owner? I have no prior experience with ponds and don't know where to begin. Ooh, yeah. So the good news is anything that applies pretty much to an aquarium applies to a pond. This is going to rub some people the wrong way. In general, I feel like there's a lot of pond owners out there that have only ever done ponds, and like magical things happen in ponds, whereas the average aquarist is like a pond wizard because they, you know, from experience. And so what I mean by that is the average aquarium co-op customer owns 6 or more aquariums. The average pond owner doesn't own 6 or more ponds. They usually have 1. And so we're buying fish and we're changing things all the time. We learn very quickly in the aquarium hobby and not so much in the pond, because maybe we only buy fish once a season. Maybe we only tried plants once. Maybe we're only water changing once a month. And so what I would say is, be careful in what you read on koi forums and all of that, because like they're their own like hobby, and they'll say things that are just like absolutely contrary to what you know to be true as like maybe a seasoned fish breeder. You're just like, that seems like that has no backing at all. And just like any hobby, there's gonna be people like, well, if you don't have an $8,000 filtration system, your koi just aren't going to live, or whatever fish you have in that pond. Meanwhile, we know that, like in the aquarium, it's like, well, it's not so much how much money you spend. It's like knowledge and what you're doing and water changes and food and all these things. And there are plenty of things to learn. I would say, if you got some downtime, maybe you're driving in the car, maybe you're doing work, you can listen to stuff. One of my favorite people that I respect in the pond industry was Pond Digger, and he went away, unfortunately. Like, I think the story, I have no confirmation. I think the story, he did really well on YouTube. He was killing it. And he was likable, good guy, knowledgeable. And I felt like he was, like, as close to what Aquariumcoop would be for ponds. Like, he just seemed super genuine. He had his own products. He really, wanted to help people, which was good. And then he landed like a TV show, and they did the pilot and all of that, and I think that didn't work out. But I think, and this is my own thought process here, I know that when you sign up for a TV show, typically you have non-compete clauses and everything. So I think he had to stop YouTube for X amount of years. So I think that's why I just like went off the radar. But Pond Digger, I really enjoyed his content when it came to ponds. And so that is actually who I would have kind of playing in the background. You're going to pick up a lot of that knowledge that's going to help you with that pre-existing pond, and know that it's not a race. And typically with a pond, if it's been neglected for a couple years before you got it, it's going to take you a season or two to really get that thing looking good. You might take the first year and go, okay, let's get this thing like cleaned up, looking better, working. And now you've done that. Season 2, you're going, okay, let's make this what I want now. Let's start changing some things. And, after 3-4 years, then you'll have something the way you like it. But it's like anything. If you've bought a house, you're like, oh, why'd they do this? I wouldn't have done that. How will change that down the road? And it's a lot of preference-based stuff. So for now, have some fun with it. Lindy Huey, welcome. And Mel Hernandez, welcome back, becoming the puffer. I'm getting my first aquarium, and I have a question. What is the best Tetra? Because I think I'm going to get some. Well, I would say there's a couple of things. Like, there's looks, so buy whatever what you like to look at. There are some that are, I think, a little bit more hardy. I hesitate to say hardy. It's more adaptable. So there's some things like a black neon Tetra just does well in a bunch of water parameters, where like a neon Tetra, a little bit narrower of a set of parameters. But for the most part, I recommend buy what you like to look at, not what people tell you is cool or is going to be easier. Because think of it like you're adopting a dog. If you really love, that chocolate lab, don't get a different dog because it's said to be easier. But chocolate labs are really easy. But let's say someone else convinces you something else, because then you just have a dog that you'll love, but you'll probably still wish you'd got the chocolate lab because you're really in love with that dog. And so you end up with 2 dogs. And I think that happens a lot in the aquariums of like, well, my friend says get this, so I got that, but I'm in love with this. And you probably don't know if you love plants yet. Do you love shrimp? Do you love cichlids? Do you love tetras? So you kind of have to start, go to the buffet, start tasting. Ooh, turns out I love this. I'm going to do that. That's what you need to experience before you can really, listen to people and take their suggestions. Like, oh, this guy likes this. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Think about it like food. If someone really loves a food you hate, you instantly go, well, I'm not taking other food recommendations from them. They're crazy. All right. If I could get a 10-gallon tank that was planted right now, what fish would I put in it? What would I do right now? Right now. I'm trying to think of something I'm not already doing because I just have those scaled up. So what would I actually do? I'll say my number one fish that I want to put into my hands right now. I want to catch some hate for it, but I really want to play with some nice balloon sailfin mollies, preferably orange. And I'm really craving some of those. I've kept them in the past, and Zenzo at Tazawa's Tanks keeping some full mollies. And in a 10-gallon, I'd put some of those little, those little shock tart looking things swimming around. They're just cool. I like them. I like it. What can I say? How would I heat a 580-gallon tank? I would heat the space. I wouldn't even heat the tank itself, honestly. It's just easier, I find. 15 hundo people. Welcome. What's my favorite guppy? My favorite guppy. If I could only choose one, it would be assorted guppies. So like whatever the cheap guppies are at the store, I would choose that. Because you get variety out of them, and it's fun to see the new ones. I check on my variety pond every day. I mean, I check on all of them every day. But that one I really go, ooh, is there anything new coming out yet? But I mean, I definitely have other fish that I love, or other guppies that I love too. I guess that's something I hadn't really touched on yet. What am I going to do with the 800-gallon behind me? So what we're going to do is hopefully install a background, plant it up a lot, and then I want to bring Ladybird. And, I always forget, like in my mind, you guys have all been around for the past 5 years with me, talking fish and doing all that. But the reality is 10,000 of you join the channel every month that are brand new. So you don't know who Ladybird is. Ladybird is another Mabu puffer, just like our mascot, Murphy. And Ladybird lives in my living room in a 230-gallon custom tank. Well, Ladybird's about this big. She's much more outgoing, follows you when you walk back and forth. So I'm hoping she'll be personable on camera for you guys. And I want to put Ladybird in here with possibly the Variatus platies that we're growing out in the tub over there, so that we'd have a lot of color, we'd have a library going on, we'd have a nice big tank for Ladybird for probably another 3-4 years, something like that, and have some fun and enjoy it. That's kind of my plan right now, but it could change a little bit. I could change fish still. Like Ladybird, that's like a 90% going in there. And then, in terms of the other fish, we could go with tons of like tetras or something like that, but part of it is, one, I like to look at it. So there's that. But right now, if you're looking at me, what's going to look okay for you guys too? Because this is, kind of as much as your guys' aquarium as is mine. Like I want it, if I put a bunch of neon tetras in there and you can see a school, that might look okay. But what if it doesn't? What if it just looks dumb? And so, that could change a little bit of like, okay, well, we need a little bit bigger. And that's where I'm thinking like that 3-inch plus kind of brightly colored Variatus will probably show up on camera pretty good, I think. And it's not all about just show, but I really enjoy that too. That's one of my absolute favorite fish anyway, and I love Mabu puffers. So I'm basically taking what fish will show well on camera and I like to keep anyway, and I'm already keeping. Those are fish that I wouldn't go out and get because I already keep them for my personal collection anyway. So I'm just combining them. I'm basically having tacos and Reese's for dessert. We're just having them together, All right. The lighting on the stream is fluctuating. I changed. Watch. See, like it's. Wait for it. Why is it? Let me check my lighting and make sure it's the same temperature on each light. Where's that? It's right here. It is. Yeah, I don't know what to. Oh wait, let me change it to like 4200. We'll see if that stops putting us in the twilight zone. It's always something, I tell you. It's always something. You know, what you guys don't realize is I usually have to spend hours a week when I live stream tinkering with stuff. So the fact that I can actually move the light placement a little bit. So some things you guys may or may not notice. It used to be right here. You could always see the reflection of the lights that light me up. And you might go like, well, why do you even have lights? Because if I don't have these lights, I look like this. That doesn't look very good, right? I gotta have these lights, but we saw the reflection. Now, part of the problem is with a camera, it's focusing on me, but it also takes into account the stuff behind me. And by putting things like that in there, it changes. So it went from a nice dark black, now it's a brown background. So that's gonna change, and that's gonna make me change the color of the lights and the camera. And so like right now, I know I look fairly red, right? Well, my complexion would be a little more red than it would be in real life. But when we turned it a little more blue like it was, and that would be truer to real life, then the camera was playing tricks. So I ended up spending hours like, you know, kind of just, camera one, let's try light. Okay, so now it's all dramatic. You know, okay with this side. Ooh, okay. You know, so we play with all these little things, and then you go live and you're like, dang it, my microphone doesn't work. What did I do? And so it's a constant battle of, let's try to not screw this up one more time. Danielle Oliver, welcome, and Pamela Fredu. I probably murdered that, so. All right. Victor says, Corey, I was revisiting your interview with Capote Mel, and it might be your best to date. When life gets back to normal, you should consider traveling to the UK and profiling Andy Woods. I don't know Andy Woods, so I need to do a little Google searching on Andy Woods. But yes, I do have some travel I need to do. And by need to, because a lot of the events that I was gonna go to got canceled. I have this airfare that has to be used up. I don't know when it expires, but I've got this airfare. Like going to Interzoo has been canceled, and an international ticket's not cheap. So now I gotta repurpose that whenever travel resumes. So maybe that's on the docket. I don't know. I still really want to go back and hang out with Chris Lucup though, because we got a lot of cool stuff to film still. So I also want to go to Singapore. I really want to go back to Israel. I've been even hankering to go back to the Amazon or Peru. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know Dean been thinking about Peru a little bit too. Like, it's funny. You come back from, you're like, it's horrible. I can only have so much diarrhea and be bitten so many times. And then 6 months later, you're like, but I miss it. So, you know, we'll see what happens. How long's the stream going? Typically, we go till 6 o'clock Pacific time. So we got about another hour to hang out. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. I want to make sure I wasn't going to run into someone else. Ooh, Kawanu Aquatics? Kawanu. Yeah, I think it's Kawanu. If it's not, I'm changing your name to Kawanu. Oh, man. Do I have any experience with Salvinia obligifolia? I have to Google that. I don't think so, though. Unless it's the cupped version. Come on, search. Search faster, internet. My internet broken? Either that or my keyboard's broken. One of the two. Not letting me. Right over here. Oh, it's like a long version? Oh, oblong Salvinia. That makes sense. I don't think I played with that one. Looks kind of cool though. Yeah, I haven't played with that one, so I can't really give you anything. All right. So Planet Tank, it's been running for a few years. Every time I do water changes once a week, the water gets really cloudy. What gives? Not overstocked. 55, my plants are good. Well, it could get cloudy. Like, there's some people that just have like bacteria in their water. Could be that you have a lot of gases in the water that can cause it to cloud up a little bit. If you're doing large water changes, you can kill off some bacteria. So like if you drain, like if I drain the water level down to here, and then I fill it back up, all the bacteria that was on the glass that was live died. And then when I fill it back up, it's going to bloom and reestablish itself after a day or two. But most of those are the likely culprits. You can also get a little bit of hazing water from chemicals like fertilizers and dechlorinators and that kind of stuff. If they go, typically you put those in when you do water change. Any update on the auto feeders? Nope. China had the virus first. They're just getting back to producing anything, and so at this point we don't really have any update on it. So it's just like in limbo, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm still using them. I brought more home to put on my totes. I'm still using them, but yeah, there's no real good update for you guys. Any idea how long Complete lasts? Basically forever. That one's doesn't really have a lifespan, I guess. Tips for jungle valves, substrate, and root tabs? I would say I really like, and I know I'm the only one that likes this. I really like normal gravel. Honestly, I really like normal gravel and then some root tabs. It does well for a lot of stuff. But I get it, like, hopefully I'll be cool in like 12 years when people think normal gravel is cool again. But right now, if you're not all about an enriched substrate, you're not taken seriously. So I should probably be like flue wall stratum, ADA, any of these things. You have to. Really, just like a normal gravel, I've always done really well in lots and lots of planted tanks. I mean, yeah, I think it's because it's not that it doesn't have its uses. I think most people think it's like a miracle. Like, oh, if I get that substrate, it's going to do way better than... But you get a lot of benefits, but you also get the downsides of it. And people aren't like factoring the downsides. I don't want the yellow water. I don't want the extra ammonia in the water. I don't want a substrate that doesn't hold plants down very well. I don't want to turn to mud after a year. I don't want to run out of nutrients. There's all these things I don't want to do. And then like a normal inert gravel doesn't do any of those. So it's like, oh, it will be the same in a year. It won't leach ammonia. Oh, it will hold things down. Like it solves a bunch of those. And so then if I just have to put nutrients to the plants, like, well, root tabs do that. Liquid fertilizers do that. I could use liquid fertilizer and an under gravel filter to deliver liquid fertilizers to the roots. There's so many ways to do these things. And I just feel like there's a massive hype train on enriched substrates that, I mean, it's profitable and it's not bad. It's just, I'm not sure that's what everyone needs and wants. Like, my best example is I don't use any of them. Like, I have used them in the past. I'm not gonna say I've never used them, but right now in all of my aquariums, I don't think I have a single aquarium that has enriched substrate. There's a few at the store that have basically like an Complete, but as far as flue wall stratum and stuff like that, like I don't enjoy using it. Joseph Breeden and Mank Fishkeeper, welcome to the show. Where'd my... I don't need to look at Salvinia anymore. All right. I'm going to start breeding. Wait, I'm just starting to breed. Got a lily white. My brain doesn't work. I'm just starting to breed. Got a lily white. Was curious why you stopped. Why Corey stopped. Got a lily white. A lily white one. I can't think what that is. Got a lily white. Maybe like, I can't, I'm trying to, my brain starts going like, how could you get auto-corrected here? Molly white? Got a Molly white? Got a, I don't know, maybe if you clarify, I'll go, oh yeah, that thing. Because I don't know what it is, so I can't explain why I might have stopped it. What are my thoughts on arowanas when I put some in the 800 gallon? No. I'm not in love with arowanas. They're okay. Not saying they're not cool sometimes. Some variants are very cool at the World Championships. Just like I can appreciate, let's say a sports car. Doesn't mean I want to drive one. Like I like driving, we have a minivan and we have a an SUV or whatever. Like I prefer the comfort over the speed. But for me, because I'm not in love with them, I don't want to put them in the 800 gallon. And that's, I had an albino one way back in the day, but I used this mostly promotional in the store and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't, it was two part. One, it was kind of cool. I say kind of. And two, it did bring people in to sort of see the albino arowana, silver arowana back when those were very rare. So, but yeah, I don't know. I could totally put them in there, and I'm sure it would get the views and on all of that. And my personal philosophy is, I want to carve out the path that I want to take. I have no doubt that I could do arowanas and some other stuff, and people would want to see it. But it's not what I want to watch, and I genuinely try to produce the content that I want to watch or I want to make or something like that, or that will help people. I'm not sure that an 800 gallon tank with arowanas is helping anyone. So it doesn't check any of the boxes for me, right? If I don't think it's going to help someone, what are my hands doing? Changing colors, driving us nuts. Maybe if I just turn it down. Anyway, if it's not going to check the box of really being super educational, like, okay, what about, do I want to make that video? Like, not really. Okay, do I love that fish? Well, not really. So then it's like, okay, but why not do anything else that does check some of those boxes? And that's what I typically do is like, well, what box am I going to check? I'm going to go to like 25% here and see if that tones it down. Has Hemichromis Exul been introduced to the market in the States? I haven't heard of it. Let me Google it though. Yeah, I don't think so. I was gonna say, like, it sounds like one of a jewel cichlid variant, but I don't think I've seen that super like nice red version. I've used some plant gravels. I usually mix one with regular gravel of the similar color. It works both worlds. Yeah, it can work, but when I've tried that in the past, it became like a sludgy mess with a lot of the like the clay base, not clay, like yeah, I guess it's clay, like a fluval stratum stuff. It just, yeah, I don't know. What's my favorite Endler? Tiger Endlers are hard not to love, honestly. Like I do have blue Silverado Endlers in the fish room right now, but a good Tiger Endler is a beautiful fish. I don't have any in my fish room right now, but I definitely, that's when I go through spurts of like, oh, this thing's amazing, and then like, I'm getting bored. But it'll come back around. Do I have, okay, let's see. Have I tried any of Tropica's soft line of fish foods? I've been trying it, it's interesting. Like Vibrabites, but really soft and chewy. Seems easier to eat. I haven't tried any of those. I mean, I did try some, what was it? It was the company that was New Era, and then they had to rebrand because of like a lawsuit or something. What were they called? That's a soft food. I like that as well, but I swear, they've been coming to America for like 2 years now, and it's like, well, they're still not here, you know. So I've tested some of their food, and I like some of their food. I honestly still wish, who bought HBH? So if you've been around a while, you know HBH was around. Who bought them? Was it Pisces? Pisces might have bought them. I just want someone to not recreate, just reprint, make more of HBH's soft krill pellet and their soft spirulina pellet. I swear those were about perfection, and I stopped reaching out to that company years ago now because they were always like, no, we're not bringing it back. Whoever bought it. And I was like, maybe I'm the only one that likes it, but I'm convinced that food was the right size. It was the right, right squishiness, I guess, freshness, all of that. So I don't know. I just got an idea here. I have to do some switching. I think it might be this orange light It makes sense, right? It keeps going between blue and orange. I think it's this orange light causing the problem. So I'm going to try and we're going to switch this thing. Oh, how do I guess it'll only let me move it. Woo! Let's go with blue, shall we? We're going blue. Oh, it's super bright. We're going to stay at like 50%. All right, we're going blue. We'll see if that stops the madness. Whoa, the dogs are here. Yes? Oh, you're trolling Joel? The balloon.
It only took, what, 4 months?
Yeah, sweet. That's our Christmas gift. How would I go about quarantining a Faka Puffer? I would use the Med Trio. I would follow up with levamisole and probably those two. I mean, I've got a whole video on puffers and kind of quarantining them, so I would watch that live stream and you're going to get a lot more in-depth answer there. My train of thought is always like broken down for a while after someone comes in, because it's like, wait, where am I? Are we back? Okay. Oh, someone was asking about a lily white crested gecko. I see. I just never really got into reptiles that much, so I guess that's why I stopped. Plus, mixing up the rapashi and getting crickets and stuff, not a ton of work, but not as easy as feeding a bunch of aquariums. And I don't know. I guess I kind of evolved. I don't know if evolved's the right word. Transitioned from something like a crested gecko being like the other animal that I keep to dogs and turtles. Because at the time we didn't have dogs or turtles, so yeah. I mean, I do like them though. They're still cool animal. All right. Yeah, James says, I cannot believe how much the chat has grown over the last 6 months. Yeah, so like obviously if you've been around a long time, I've been around from the beginning, I've watched live streams evolve, and there's definitely like a sweet spot of like, I want to say like 300 to 400 people chatting leads to some pretty good conversation that can kind of go in depth. Where you get too much above that or too below that, too much below that and get a little bit slow. Too much above that starts getting a little crazy. And so I'm constantly trying to reinvent the wheel of like, how do I alleviate some of this, bring better value? And I've got an idea in the works for hopefully the membership portion to hopefully craft that 300 to 400 chat crew type of thing again. But yeah, something like this is gonna probably always, well, I shouldn't say always. That's a bit like presumptuous. If I do my job right, something like this should continue to grow. And I think one of the things we'll do is probably just keep upping the limit of delay. So like right now it's 60 seconds. Maybe like, you know, we have 10,000 people here. Maybe it's gotta be each person can type once every 5 minutes, or maybe. And I know this would just catch the ultimate heat, but maybe if there's 10,000 people watching, you only let members chat, so that way there's like 300 members and it's manageable. Because I'm sure you guys have been on, you know, Philip DeFranco or a news station, and there's like, oh, there's 8,000 people chatting, and it's just you just see blurs. Like that's not useful for anyone. So the amount of heat I assume that we would get for limiting it would be a lot, but we'd be limited and get something useful. So I think it would be worth it. But I do realize that there's always it's always going to alienate some people, and you know, unfortunately, as we grow, we're forced to make decisions of like, oh, that's not optimal and that's not optimal. But which one serves the most amount of people the best? And so, you know, sometimes I just have to be, you know, as I tell some of my coworkers and everything, like, I'm the guy at the top. I got to make the bad decision, and so that way, I'll be the one that can't sleep at night, and I'll take the brunt of it. So, yeah, as we grow, you know, we try to adapt, and that's one of the reasons we got rid of super chats, right? Not that they don't come back every once in a while, but super chats at a channel this size, they end up becoming that's only about the super chats. majority of the time spent just talking about super chats. And so that really is a pay to play type of style. And I'm trying to delay that. I think eventually at some point it's gonna become that. That's just the problem with success. Unless YouTube finds out a good way to do that, and that would be great too. But for now, we just take it in little bite-sized chunks and go, well, what can we do here? And that sounded what I do know is my goal remains the same, and that is at the end of the 2 hours, did I help and answer as many questions as I thought I could? If I can answer that question with yes, however we had to get there to do that probably justifies it. So that's how I try to push forward. All right. How's my Shredeni puffer tank doing lately? You probably have missed the video. At some point, probably 6-8 months ago, we moved all my Shredeni puffers that were in the 75-gallon to Dean's house. Well, at Dean's house, they are now finally breeding, and he's actually raising, I guess, fry now. The eggs have hatched. If you go to his Instagram, you will see some of those eggs. You'll see the puffers breeding. He's captured that as well. So yeah, at Dean's Fish Room on Instagram, you can keep up with what those are doing. I've got a 20-gallon killie tank with one male, or clown killie tank. 1 male, 3 females, and I'm hoping to breed them soon. Are there any fish that I can add with them, or will everything eat the eggs? I was able to breed bristlenose plecostomus with them and Norman lampi killies. It was in a 55, so a bigger tank. But yeah, I think if you pick other fish that don't want to feed off the bottom and can't get into crevices, so like a big bristlenose can't get into the crevices. So yeah. I bet you it's like a white balance setting. Jimmy, if you're watching this after the fact or now, you gotta look at this camera and go, what's causing the changes? Okay. 200 more likes till victory? We are at 806 likes. We should be able to get to 1,000. I think that's a doable thing. It doesn't cost you anything. That's the good news. But if you're all watching our TV, it might be really hard. So if we don't make it, I'll assume we're all on our TVs. Does anyone think that fire eels don't get enough love? I think fire eels are super cool. Just most people shouldn't own something that's bigger than my arm. Like the wet spot in Portland, Oregon used to have a really cool fire eel called snuffers. Super big, super cool, really nice. But a lot of, at previous fish store I worked at, like you just order up, you'd watch someone, and then like 6 months later you'd be like, well, of course it was dried up on the floor. Like you didn't respect how much this thing wanted to jump. And unfortunately, things like eels and arowanas and a few other of these types of fish are like, this thing's a magnet to become a dust bunny. Like they're so good at this, and everyone's always like, well, don't worry, I got it handled, blah blah. And I always want to be like, look, it's my job to handle these things, and I don't even think I got a handle on it. I'm afraid it's going to jump before you even buy it, even though it's my job. I get paid to make sure this thing doesn't jump out. And so I'm always saddened by the, I told you so, like, But at the same time, there are, for every, let's say 5 people that do have that jumper, there's that one person that's like, wow, they've had it forever. It's doing awesome. They're like, we should study them and figure out how to keep these better because they're really good at it. So it's always hard. All right. Yes, if you're not following our blog, we do put out new articles every week. They're getting better and better. You guys are reading them more and more, which I do appreciate. I think you're starting to get into the routine of like, oh yeah, new blog articles do come out. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter that we send out every week, we don't spam you. We don't even, I guess technically we advertise to you in that we talk about some of our products in the articles. And each week I do have Irene. I go, well, we should pick something from the website to educate on. And the goal is educate, not sell. So it's like, oh, if we need to talk about iron, don't just tell people to buy it. Like, let's educate about iron. And so it just goes out once a week, and it's super low key. You can cancel it, not cancel, because that sounds like you had to sign up for like a fee. You can stop it coming in your email box whenever you want, but yeah, I highly recommend it because I just know we're putting a lot of resources into it, and we're continually trying to get better at it, and so we're evolving over time. Someone says 30 more to victory. Whoa, 23 to victory. We're getting there. Getting there. All right. Ooh, blogs are getting better and better. I like it, AJ. Can I suggest a good linear air piston pump to hook up to PVC for a whole fish room setup with racks? Yeah, I don't know how many tanks you have, but I buy all of my linear air piston pumps from gemco.com. That's JEHMCO.com. That's for you TV people. I spelled it out. But John there has always served me well. It does all the ones at the store, does all the ones here, all the ones in Dean's Fish Room. I ordered the one for Zenzo's Fish Room from there. And I really like the second pump up. So I want to say off the top of my head, and this sale's been going on for like 10 years. So there's one that's like $189.99, and then the next bump up is like $199.99, but it's on sale because it normally is like $239.99 or something like that. That second tier one will run like, well, it's running all of Zenzo's Fish Room, so it will handle most people's stuff for a couple $100. Now, $200 is not chump change. But the good news about a linear air piston pump, in 20 years, you'll still have a linear air piston pump that probably resells for at least $100 and it hasn't broken down. So that's, it's very retains its usefulness for a long time, and hardcore fish people know that, and so that's why you can typically unload them. And the good news about a linear air piston pump, unlike other types of pumps like blowers and diaphragm pumps, with the linear air piston pump, you can add another pump in line. So let's say you've got your PVC running all around the room, and you've got one pump here, and you go, I'm going to add 50 aquariums. You can install another pump and pump that into the same PVC, and they don't battle each other. They work with it. Think of like pistons in a car, right? As long as they're working together, they will pressurize even more. And that's what we do at the store. We run two pumps so that if one ever broke down, which, knock on wood, we've never had happen, but if one ever got unplugged or the circuit breaker tripped, anything like that, we have another one that will keep at least some oxygen going. So with only one, with the 100 aquariums we're running, it would be like, yeah, the flow is a little bit not enough. But with the second one, then we got all the air we could ever want. And if one ever got disrupted somehow, we accidentally unplugged it, circuit breaker, anything like that, we've got enough that it wouldn't just be like, uh-oh, we've got no air in the store. So I really do like them and recommend them to everyone, really. I do think, I want to say like in 10 years, I hope we sell linear air piston pumps just because it's a really good product. The only reason I don't is because it's crazy expensive. Like, what if I had to order 1,000 of them minimum orders? I have no idea, but that's a lot of money. All right. Ooh, someone said, boom, 1K. We did it. I've never seen it before hit one digit. So on my screen, it says 1K now. I've never seen that before. Ooh, it's got another stat too. It says new members, 30. Nice. Thank you guys. Also says chat revenue, 0. All right. All right. I got to dry. I've been talking a lot today. I had meetings, with YouTube and Randy and that kind of stuff before I went live. So, should I put other merch up? Do I even have any other cool merch? Ooh, what about this super? I'm gonna put this one up. Is that what this does? This is the only way you can get this this mug, actually, the goldfish mug. We'll see if that updates. 31 members going to Eric Carney. Well, thank you. What's better, a hang-on back filter or a canister filter? You know, if you were brand new to the hobby, I would tell you a hang-on back because they're just easier to comprehend and utilize and not neglect. But everything's got there's a right tool for a right job. And even Dean, he's like considering an Awaze canister filter with a built-in heater for a specific tank because he wants to hide the heater and he's got to do a bunch of modifications to make it work, but he hates the price. And normally he uses a lot of sponge filters and very few canister filters. But in this one specific setup, he's considering it. So it does matter a lot. Like, you know, Dean uses majority sponge filters. Second majority is AquaClear hang-on backs. And third would be canister filters. But, you know, even me, I'm using a bunch of sponge filters in the other room. I have a sump down here. I've got an FX6 over here. On the 230 gallon in my living room, I have an FX4. So it's the right tool for the right job, I would say. All right. Quick question. I'm adding Flourish to a planted tank and it contains 0.0001% copper. Do you think that would be dangerous for shrimp? No. That's a very minute amount of copper. And one thing to remember is that shrimp need tiny amounts of copper in their diet to be able to survive. So even though it could be toxic in higher amounts, doesn't mean it will be in a lower amount. Man, I've got like a piece of dust or something in my throat. All right. Yeah, I'm good. Since the last time you visited San Francisco, natural fish store, have you tried deep gravel beds and CO2 passive diffusion? So we do have some CO2 passive diffusion going on in the store and a kit that we sell, but we can't ship it online. So we are doing that. I have done deep gravel beds back when the previous fish room we were doing testing, and I like that. I actually think I'm going to take most of the ponds that way. Yeah. So yes, I mean, I pretty much dabble in a little bit of everything. I'm always just playing and testing and doing things. It's rare that, I don't know, I can say it's rare, but I try to play with most ideas. But there's times when I just never get around to something too, I would suppose. True or false, does EcoComplete have a high CEC value? True. Because the CEC is the cation absorption rate, right? I just want to make sure that I'm even close to knowing what I'm talking about. Yeah, I want to make sure. Okie doke. Would it be okay to stuff polyfill into a hang-on back to polish the water? Yeah, you can do that. I find like super fine polyfill gets clogged really quick, so you might want to do it like in the morning. Let's say you know it's Saturday or whatever day it is, you've got a day off, start doing that in the morning, and then check on it at lunch, and then before you go to bed, go ahead and like replace with something normal because you just don't want it to overflow. I really like the white pads that we sell. Like that's all I use on this aquarium. I'd have to take the sump apart or the panels apart to show you one, but yeah. Should I add a water cow with an arowana? I don't recommend it. I don't know. It seems like that water cow is going to take a bite out of that arowana eventually. New member, JT's Fish Diary. Welcome. Heavily stocked 32-gallon long filter ideas. I typically run them with a sponge, like a smaller sponge filter at each end. What I do. You can do canister filters, but what I find is like I want a spray bar and it doesn't have very long of an end. Oh.
Said you needed something to drink.
Oh yeah.
So I brought you. Oh, wait, sorry, it's the left-handed. Right-handed.
Wow. Could you put any more swag on here? You got the cooperative shirt and.
I was wearing this earlier, but no, it's just water.
Oh, it's just water.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I had water. Oh, you just wanted to use the mug.
No, someone said you needed water,
see,
and I didn't know you
I
had
see.
any, so I was trying to be nice.
Well, thank you. I
I was
appreciate that.
trying. All right. Show that off.
Yeah, I just did the product placement.
I white it.
I did. Oh man. All right, where did I leave off? My train of thought. We were talking about CEC factor. And go water cows, I think. All right. Who would you recommend to order machache bettas from? I would be looking at 2 places, aquabid.com and thewetspot.com. Both of those are what I'd watch. If they're around, they're probably going to show up. Yeah. All right. What is my opinion on Matten filters? Tried them a bunch. I thought I was going to do the whole store with them and ended up not being a fan. They release a lot of debris when you do a water change. I continually found fish being able to get behind them no matter how tight I cut them to the top and the sides, and you know, they could sometimes get through the tube if the power ever went out. And I'm just not a fan. It's not that they don't work. It's of the ways that I enjoy cleaning an aquarium and cleaning filtration, that's the least. It's really far down on the list just because it just, yeah. This is not good. Oh, Dean wants one of these mugs. The only way to get this mug, Dean, is you have to buy it like on that pinned comment thing. Like, we don't even have them at the warehouse. This thing has only ever existed on that Teespring. So this is a very rare mug. Not that many people have this thing. I mean, I always buy one before I tell anyone because I want to make sure it doesn't suck. If this thing was terrible, I wouldn't want someone to buy this. But it's held up really well. Like, we've had this for years, and it, you know, goes through the dishwasher and all of that, so holds up. What's the best dwarf cichlid for a beginner? I would recommend crebensis, specifically albino crebensis. What water parameters do neos need? Neo shrimp, which would be like cherry shrimp. Neutral, neutral, neutral. I'd say like 7 to 7.2 pH, moderate hardness, don't change a lot of water, have a lot of plants, feed a little bit of food, will make more over time, most likely. I need some help with microsword and dwarf hairgrass I ordered. They aren't growing well like I thought they would. I've got a 55 gallon with 2 27 watt Fluval Aqua Skies and my Easy Green. The Aqua Skies are, let's see, so it's microsword. So I feel like off the get-go, you don't quite have enough light for probably that dwarf hairgrass. The microsword, well, hold on. So when you say 227 watt Fluval Aqua Skies, I guess I can Google it. Are those 4-foot fixtures? If they're not, if like, I'm assuming it's 2 4-foot fixtures. Let me see. On petco.com. Oh my gosh. Nothing irritates me more than when I'm on like a petco.com, like they got a lot of money out of this thing. Oh, this website is terrible. Description, tell me how long this thing is. 36 to 48 inches. Okay. So it's a 36-inch light essentially. So in my opinion, you just don't have enough light. So you've got roughly, so if you got a 36-inch fixture, you probably have about 30 inches worth of LEDs. You've got about 60 inches worth of LEDs, but they're not high powered because that's the lower end fixture. So you've got, basically enough to cover the thing, but lower light. So, in my opinion, when I was doing testing and why we chose not to carry the Aqua Skies was it was very similar to the Stingrays, and the Stingrays were cheaper. Now, a Stingray on a 55, in my opinion, is not powerful enough to grow Microsword and Dwarf Hairgrass. So unfortunately, I think the answer is get some more light on there. Whether you buy like a Stingray to supplement those two and kind of add to that, whether you go and buy a shop light from Home Depot, whether you buy just a whole new fixture, whatever it is you're going to do. But I think your limiting factor right now is actually lighting. But without bringing like a par meter there, I can't know that 100%. But from the information provided, that's my best educated guess. That's what I can say. The thumbnail makes you look 5 times more exhausted. I didn't even know there was a thumbnail. I didn't make a thumbnail, so it usually just picks a random grab out of here, and then later I'll pick one. So it probably has me looking, I don't know, I guess super exhausted. Wait, what is that saying? Oh, my Streamlab thing is all screwed up. Only members can chat, ask questions. Wait. Doesn't even make sense. Only members can chat, ask questions today. Go home, Streamlabs. You're drunk. Gotta figure out how to make that. Lindy doesn't see the pinned comment. I wonder if that's a device limitation to... I don't know what device you're on, Lindy. Maybe say what device you're on. Got a Fluval 2.0, 48-inch, but it's the C version. Is that sufficient for a planet tank? If you can turn off the blue spectrum, you do a lot better. It would depend on how tall the aquarium is. The answer is, can it be done? Yes. Is it recommended? No. It's going to be some work. If you could trade with someone else or liquidate it and put a little more money in and get one that is made with a better spectrum. But it also does depend on what, if you want to do low light plants, for sure you can make it work. I guess it really depends on what you're trying to pull off. How many snakeskin barbs can you put in a 10-gallon? I don't know. Like 8? I mean, you could put more, but how many do you want to see in there, I guess? How many 2-foot Fluval 3.0 lights would you put on a 210? 3. That's what I would do. But if you were like full on planting, I would do 6. Like this 800-gallon aquarium runs 4 4-foot lights on it. Which is not super highlighting, but not dim either. I have two spots growing on stone that are solid red, like the size of a dime. Any idea what it is? It's a certain type of algae. I've seen it before, but I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't diagnosed that, but at one store I worked at, it was very prevalent. Did they stop making erythromycin? Nope, they didn't. I think we even just got some in today. Let me check our inventory. And even if they stop making erythromycin, do I have it here? Am I good? Yeah. Mardell makes it as Maricin, which is also erythromycin. So I know for sure we have that. I just want to see if we have erythromycin by API. Maybe it didn't come in, or maybe it hasn't been entered in inventory yet. We've got some at the retail store, but none in the warehouse currently of the smaller. We have big containers of it, and we have tons of Maricin, which is erythromycin. But to the best of my knowledge, they haven't stopped making it. Oh, the pin chat thing keeps popping up for people. That might be annoying. I'm gonna get rid of that. My goal is not to like sell a ton of merch and annoy you guys. That's not my it's not my MO here. I side for, or I bias towards non-abrasive sales pitch, I guess, is what I'm trying to explain. Josh Bull became a member. All right, that's 33 new members today. I like this. Keep it rolling. I lost my chat because I wanted to look at the number. All right. Does Malefics and Pimafix work for ick? In my opinion, no. I've never been able to treat ick with it, but that's just my own personal opinion. So that would be, yeah. I've so much so we don't even sell it. We have sold it in the past when I was like, well, let me sell some things that people really love that I don't, but it never worked out well because people would buy it and they'd be like, it didn't work, and I'd be like, yeah, I know it doesn't work. They're like, why would you sell it? Like, people want to buy it. So I just thought it was easier. Like, just don't sell things that I know that people are gonna like not do well with. How can I wash black sand? Get yourself a fine net, like a white mesh net, like a brine shrimp net, like a big one, and pour the sand in there and just rinse it really well. That's what I would do. Are the 1 liter bottles of Easy Green to be used with the older bottle or the new? Bottle. Let me do my brain thinking here. Only the new bottle. Yep, it would only be the new bottle. My next live stream is me being funny for 1 hour and gaming. I'm never funny, ever. I've considered doing some of that stuff, but honestly, I've really tried to separate like those two sides of my life, just because like gaming or anything like that is an outlet for me of like not working. And here's what I honestly think would happen is I think it would actually go pretty okay. Gamers would like it. I know my demographic of you guys, a lot of you are gamers. I would say some jokes, it'd be fun. And then you guys would be like, wow, we should totally do that again. And then that becomes a work thing, and now I don't have an outlet. So I guess I've kind of put up the guard on like, oh, gaming, or because like it used to be that at the, when I worked at a fish store, my hobby was fish, right? And I go home and I breed fish, and really great. And then when you make videos about it, then it became work, and it's not my outlet anymore. So as I've gotten more protective of like, no, this needs to be like an outlet source of like, no one really gets, I don't need to film this. I don't need it to make it a thing. It's my unwind time or whatever you want to call it. So Jaguar cichlid on a 90 gallon can be done. Towards the probably 2 year plus mark, it's going to start getting tight in there, but you can keep one in there for a pretty long time. I wouldn't say indefinitely, but long enough to know if you want to invest and get a real big tank for it. Since you're out of ICX, would you recommend to buy what I recommend to get rid of ICX? Even if you couldn't buy it from us, I would tell you buy ICX. That being said, earlier in the stream, I did say we're basically temporarily out till tomorrow. We have a shipment coming in. Because of delays in shipments, we have like a pallet of ICX coming in. And normally, if we didn't have delays in shipping, it would have come in, we would have had thousands of units left, more thousands of units. You guys would never see a disruption. But our software for forecasting everything, it can't predict like, if in the past, let's say it took 10 days to get a pallet of ICX. Well, if we place the order and it takes 7 weeks, like the software can't predict that. And even still, when we go to reorder, it's like, well, I don't think we should tell it's going to take 7 weeks. It only took 3 weeks or 1 week, or it takes longer. So there's going to be some of these points like, hey, you're out. Like, yeah, it'll be in. I mean, I can't promise it, but I've been inquiring, and from tracking numbers and everything, it says tomorrow. So we're going to go with tomorrow. How hard is it to find some female Japan blue endlers? I wouldn't say it's that hard. You just got to find a local breeder, but because they don't sell very well in a store, most stores didn't want them, and so now they're hard to find because no one was buying them. What's an acceptable price to ask for mutton guppies? It depends on who you're selling them to. If you're selling them to a store, I would say $1, assuming they're big. If you're selling them to another hobbyist, I think a couple of bucks. You know, it depends on how many you need to move. I don't think, like, I try to think about it like, would I drive 45 minutes to go to someone's house to buy just mutt guppies at $3 or $4 each? Probably not. But at $2 each, I might go, okay, well, at $2, if I buy 20 of them, that's 40 bucks. That might be worth driving 45 minutes, right? And at $1, you're like, oh, I can get a lot for not very much money. So you got to kind of run those scenarios out, and usually the cheaper a fish is, more likely it is, or the better deal someone's getting, the more likely it works out. This is the most colorful pleco I've ever seen. Honestly, in person, it was those gold plecos we saw in Peru. Those things were insane. Anything in captivity, colorful. The species of fish is not that colorful. I mean, yeah, like blue phantoms are cool. A really nice super red's cool. But in my mind, somehow they're not like super colorful. Like, they are colorful, but I don't know. It's not like a neon color, I guess. I don't know. Tips for summer tubbing with daisy blue rice fish. Get the water to turn green. That's my #1 tip so far. Green water. And then get anything for eggs to cling on to. And that could be algae. Could be, like I use hornwort and guppy grass. Could be any types of plants in there. Green water I'm finding to be very important for like cover, I guess. It's 9-day difference between outside and inside. And yeah, there's bugs and that kind of stuff too, but I've isolated it basically down to the green water. I'm pretty sure it's green water. And green water's been magical in the past when I've been breeding other stuff too. Green water's really good. Does anyone have a video that shows how to run airline to the bottom of an Aquariumcoop sponge filter? I don't know if anyone has a video, but I'd recommend not doing that. They're not designed to run them all the way to the bottom. They're actually designed to be right at the top there to get flow going and to control the flow. The further you put it down, the more likely you're going to have bubbles come out of the side. And so being right at the top, this is a video I need to do, but it's not a video that will get very many views. You have to focus on fluid dynamics and things like that. When you read research papers about airlifting water, most people use way too much air. So if you put a ton of air through there, okay, let me see if I can explain this quickly and not too nerdy. So let's say you've got, I don't have a piece of tubing or pipe or anything. Well, that sucks. All right, that's not gonna make this easy at all. So you've got a tube, right? Now through this tube, you wanna move things. Maybe you wanna move air, maybe you wanna move water, right? This is in our aquarium. One other thing we're gonna need to add in there, we're gonna need to put a tube going down to pump the air in. So we've got a tube, we put another tube in to a point, right? You can go down really far, could go down right here. Where it breaks people's minds is that when the air comes back up, the uniformity of the air is very important. So if it's going glug, 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 you're kind of getting this like kind of spray motion, and then like it almost like, it's like a washing machine, how it's like junk, 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 and it like sloshes, right? And so you're moving water, but it's like just barely moving, okay? Now if you have a very uniform air, so like let's say an air stone with very fine bubbles at the right amount, the stream like never stops. And so that really actually carries the water all the way out. Now, if you have that going on and you turn up the air, the air starts collecting into bubbles, like bigger bubbles, and it starts going glug, glug, glug. So by turning air down, a lot of times you'll actually get more water flow, which is completely counterintuitive. So bubble size plays a big factor. Channeling in a tube, just like in a canister filter, channeling is very important. So if air or water is channeling through there in a certain way, that's going to impact flow rates also. And so that's why something like our nano USB air pump, we designed it so it could work off low flow and get good flow rates, most people are putting a ton of air to it, and then they actually get a worse flow rate to it. And so by bringing the air stone down, you're going to get more velocity going, but you're going to have less control. And what I've found is I really like the control, so that once I dial it in, it stays that way. I hope that makes sense. All I know, you can play with this. You can make them out of PVC. If you make a PVC with like an elbow on it, and you get a 5-gallon bucket, and you get some air going in there, do at the bottom, just put air and let it go glug, 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 and let it watch the air come, or water come out, right? Then put an air stone down there and watch what that's like. It'll be smoother and more, right? And then take that same air stone with the tube and put it in the tube all the way to the bottom and watch what that's like. All three of those are going to be dramatically different. And you're going to be able to play with the amount of airflow, and you're like, wait a second, sometimes less air will literally move more water. Now, one of the big things that also comes into play with that is tube diameter size. So a tube this big with a tiny air stone won't move that much water. A tube this big with a tiny air stone is going to move a lot more water. But if you need to move insane amounts of water with lots of air, you're going to need a big tube. So the tube needs to be proportional to the amount of water, the throughput you're actually trying to pull off. And so it gets complicated, and you got to do a lot of testing. So, but yes. So how do you get to the bottom? You could use a piece of tubing, get all the way down there, but you're going to lose control over that air because it's not as confined anymore. So you can imagine you release a bubble and it kind of goes in the sponge filter like this. If you start going up an uplift tube and it goes straight and you have control over it, you can get a more uniform flow pattern, which will actually translate to better lift. So I hope that helps. Do we have any long greenfin dragon in the store? No idea. The amount of fish we have in the store will be low. Well, I don't know if it's low, but we're not really ordering fish in and that kind of stuff because we're not open for people to walk in. It's curbside assistance only. All right. Did I make a video on why and when you change the 800 gallon from tiger barbs and goldfish? Probably. I mean, I've made a video on about everything. Why did I change it? I mean, I know I talked about it in live streams. I got bored. After over a year of the same thing, I just got bored. And the tiger barbs were dominating food, and then the archers were also, and I just want to do something new. Are USB nano air pumps coming back? They will be when they arrive on a boat, which they haven't got on a boat yet, so we're at least 6 weeks out. Awesome, right? So if you guys remember from a live stream probably a month, 6 weeks ago, when we started noticing there's going to be disruptions when China didn't have the factories open, so they had Chinese New Year, then the virus, that delayed everything. So we're going to have these outages for like a month of just like, yep. I mean, we have a lot of air pumps that have been manufactured, but they have not been put on a boat yet. So we wait. And so there's going to be a lag time of at least a month without them. So nothing we can do about it, though. You can like, oh, dang it. And we did look into air freighting them over, but right now, because that's what everyone's doing, air freight rates are just absolutely astronomical. Something that cost us $500 to ship air freight is now like $1,700. And when you start doing that kind of stuff, it becomes so unprofitable. You're like, oh yeah, we could fly those USB nano air pumps over, and then we'd have to sell them for $30 each. Like, that ain't gonna work. So we just have to wait, unfortunately. How long between birth and full color for male endlers? I mean, full color, probably like 7 or 8 months. Takes quite a bit to get full color. It depends on how fast you're feeding, what temperature you're running, whether they're getting sunlight or not, but a decent amount. I've been using Vibrabites and my fish go nuts for them. The fish have gotten very colorful, and I've even got my black ghost knife taking Vibrabites. Awesome. Good to hear. You know, there's only two camps there. There's people that love that food and there's people that hate that food. I'm in the love that food category. I still like it quite a bit. Oh, Renee got one of the mugs. She's in the special club. Ah, tasty water. I just feel extra fancy. Somehow, I feel fancy when I drink out of a mug. Whereas this feels like I should be at the gym. By the way, I miss going to the gym quite a bit. I did bought a slam ball so I can do a little bit of something while I'm stuck at home. What tank size do I recommend to start breeding Cories? I like a 20 gallon. Whether you want to go 20 high, which is what I like, or 20 long, either one of those will work. You know, a 40 breeder, even better. I'm in Washington, 3 hours away from me, being the shop. Aquahuna won't ship to you, that's true. Who would I recommend? Someday my son and I will come visit your shop. I don't really have anyone I can necessarily recommend. If I did, I would have them on the recommendation list. So if you go to our website, you'll see our recommendations. We do have, I believe, Select Aquatics, and I think we have Twin City Guppies on there. I recommend both of those. But in terms of just like an overall general people that sell fish, I don't really have a lot of recommendations. We have high standards. And if I haven't tested them, it's hard to recommend. It's like, you know, for me, a lot of times, it's like, so I don't think we've ever met Clifford. And it's kind of like you're saying, what should I eat at this restaurant you've never eaten at, Corey? Like, maybe you go with the nachos. Hard to screw that up, right? And then you go, oh, those nachos were terrible. Like, yeah, I don't know, sorry. And so I only like to give recommendations like, ooh, I had the nachos there. They were really good. I would recommend those nachos. And so I don't have a lot of places to recommend for you. Otherwise, I'd add them to my list and be like, I recommend this. We've tested them a bunch. And it took years for us to even recommend Aquahuna. We've been buying from them for over 10 years before we would recommend someone. So we really, because I just know that it's too easy to damage our reputation relying on someone else. Because if they start doing things wrong, like you said, those nachos are going to be good. Like they normally are. They change cooks. I'm sorry. You know, my grandma's birthday was ruined because the nachos were so terrible. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'll make it up to you. Would a Zis Bio on one side and a sponge filter on the other side of a 48-inch, 40-gallon be sufficient for water movement? I want some silver hatchets, so I don't want too much surface area. Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, comes down to how much air you're rocking through those things, but I think that's within the, yeah, that'll work. Marks Aquatics. They're like the Marks Aquatics? Like the one? Let me see. Wait, I can right click on his name, I think. There's a way to do this. Yeah, like go to the channel. Let me do it. Oh, I just broke my chat. It just says, oh, I literally broke it. Let me try it over here. Oh, won't let me do it over there. Of course, nothing works the way I need it to. I swear. But if that's Marks Aquatics with the YouTube channel, I like your stuff. But I won't be able to confirm or deny that till later. So, sorry. All right, repairing my broken chat. A water change right now? I swear, I set that thing to not happen during a live stream. I'm getting trolled by myself. P3X704 is a new member. Thank you very much. I know, why do I turn green? Yeah, like right here. I bet you it's the shirt. I don't know really wear a green shirt. I know red will do that, so I don't wear my red shirts anymore. It's probably just my stupid green shirt. I normally wear like the light blue one or something like that. I'll test that later, like tomorrow or something. I'll wear a blue shirt tomorrow, and then I'll play with the camera, and it's probably the stupid shirt. Dang it. Always something. How big was Hank? Hank was like this big-ish. When we were filming at the store, I actually think that Murphy is now bigger than Hank. Not by a ton, but Murphy's he's a big boy. So I think Murphy's actually bigger, and we've been trying him on some new foods. Good to report that he can take down an oyster now, which the oysters are hard shells. Mary Louise Grant, welcome. Andrew says, I have ick in my tank I've treated multiple times. I can't water change because of the water shortage. Ooh. I don't know where there's a water shortage, but that makes it hard for sure. Turn up my temp to 86. Any other suggestions? If you don't have live plants, get salt in there. And then, even if you have live plants, I'd put 1 dose of ICX in there and just let it sit. Yeah, I feel like you gotta do something. I would do something, but yeah, water. In a worst case scenario, if you have other aquariums, I might dose ICX, wait 2 days, change some water using water from another tank, and let that water level be low. But if it doesn't have plants, do salt, you're good to go. Can you keep a fire eel and a black ghost knife at a 75? Yeah, for like 6 or 8 months. Maybe a little bit longer, but both those fish, well, the ghost knife, I guess technically doesn't outgrow all the way, but the fire eel definitely is going to get bigger than that 75 really should handle. How do you know you have too much air? Like when it comes to lifting and moving water, or so if it was that, say it was that, because I'm trying to watch to see if the question like gets refined a little bit, but see, I got to do a video. This is too hard to explain, but you'd see the air channel. So what does that mean? That means that in a perfect world, you'd have air bubbles and they stay separate and they just go up in a uniform pattern. That just kept happening, right? But when you have too much air, they ram into each other and they become a bigger, so you got 2 air bubbles, now they ram into each other, they're a bigger bubble, and that goes blub. So you want tiny bubbles and you want lots of them just moving in a uniform pattern. That's the right amount of air. Whereas when they channel and I think there's actually another special word for it too. I can't remember what they call it when they combine and then would go up. But that actually reduces the amount of flow. So even though you're putting more air, you can get reduced flow. All right. Oh, Chubby Guppy says, our local water utility has started using a graduating scale, putting the screws to those of us with tanks. I mean, I would gear my tanks more towards like less water change, lots of plants, things like that. Like, so for instance, people keep asking like, how much water change are you doing on the totes? The totes where I'm breeding all those fish, so that you guys watched and saw the underwater footage, they've never had a water change. So how long has it been? 6 months now? I literally don't plan on changing water very often at all. Because I've got totes outside, I only ever change some water out of like, well, I guess I could change some water like once a year. And they do really, really well. Now, am I monitoring water parameters? Yes. Am I keeping an eye on it? Yes. Do I have live plants? Yes. Would I step in if I needed to? Yes. But my goal is to set up really, really low maintenance systems for me of like, they just kind of do their thing. They're marinating and doing well. Yeah. Dean's chiming in, providing technical support. He says, I think the lighting in your stream has something to do with the color or white balance. The giant lava lamp is super red too. Yeah, I changed lighting a little bit and it creates a cascade of problems. Like you've never known being a live streamer's horrible day until you move a light over to here. Oh, you moved that 3 inches? Oh, you got weeks of work, buddy. Good job. So I'll just, my weekend will be spent talking to myself, going, all right, let me hit the record button. Oh, it's doing it. Okay. Oh, move the light here. How about now? Let me change the setting over here. And then what'll happen is I'll get it all dialed in. We'll go live again. And then something unrelated to that will be broken now. I'll be like, dang it. Now the autofocus or X or, whatever it is. But we'll work on it. I'll get it figured out. It's my job. I'll do it. All right. Oh, it's 6 o'clock. We gotta go to KG Tropicals live streams. Ooh. What's a hashtag? I need hashtags like... I'm surprised the lack of hashtags in my life. Alright, we're just gonna do hashtag Aquarium Co-op. If you guys didn't know, hashtag Aquarium COOP is our official hashtag. We use it on Instagram. We use it on Facebook. We use it everywhere. And if you want... Ooh, can I show you guys stuff without giving away my life? Let's see if I can do that. So we follow the hashtag Aquariumcoop. Hopefully that doesn't ruin me. Right here, right? No, right here. So these are all people that have used the hashtag Aquariumcoop on Instagram. And I go through and I check them out. I like them. And like this person did, you know, what I'm watching during quarantine 2020. Like made his own little graphic, right? So we get tagged, we look at them, sometimes we share them. It's just the way, you know, I'll give them a heart. I don't write a lot of comments. I do write comments every once in a while, but I don't want people to go, well, I gave you a tag, now I need an essay. Like, it just can bring it to my attention. I can see it and I go, oh, that's super cool. And so yeah, hashtag Aquarium Co-op kind of lets people know you're part of the club. And we will see you at KG Tropicals live stream. Go in there. His white balance is probably dialed in unlike mine because, I don't know, I moved my lights today and that's what I get. Hopefully there's nachos cooking or something. I'm hungry. And thanks for hanging out. New video on Sunday. We'll see what goes on next week. Hopefully it's some new membership. I might put out a membership video tomorrow. Could be. I definitely got one in the wings ready to go. I want to see how long it's been since I put out the last one. If not, maybe I'll do another live stream or something. We'll see. Getting a little stir crazy. Hashtag Aquariumcoop, KG Tropicals. See you there if you're watching on our TV. Hopefully you can navigate there. And I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for everything, really.